Hi YouTube, I'm trying something new on today. You are tuning into Carol's Daily Sauce, coming at you with some good sauce. One of the sauciest channels here on YouTube. Not a lot of gossip, but a show enough lot of sauce. Okay, so what are we going to be discussing today? I am going to be discussing a situation, a story that has been trending everywhere, trending all over the internet, trending all over the TV, TMZ, Facebook. It's been trending in YouTube, trending everywhere. What are you talking about, Carol? I am talking about the scandalous Mr. R. Kelly. First, before I get started, I do want to tell you this is a disclaimer. I am not a dictarian on anything regarding Mr. R. Kelly. Each and everything that I am sharing with you is either something that someone has told me that was very dear to me. My ex-husband and he were very good friends when they were younger, and before he became famous. Also, oh, excuse me. Also, what I have read on the internet, what I have seen on talk shows, what I have read on articles with TMZ, this is stuff that I have read. This also, a lot of my information is what I viewed, which is what a lot of you probably viewed when you looked at the show that was on the TV about survivors of R. Kelly and the R. Kelly scandal. So the first person that I'd like to talk to regarding this here situation is Draya Kelly, R. Kelly's ex-wife. From what I can understand, they had been married 13 years. She was in a very physically abusive relationship. It was also very verbally abusive. And as a result of it, here lately, right around the Me Too movement, right around the movement of exposure, she and a lot of other women have come forward to share some of the things that they experienced at the hands of Robert Kelly. So first, before I get started talking about Draya, I do want to talk about how I know personally of R. Kelly. My ex-husband is from the South Side of Chicago, Illinois. He was born and raised in Chicago, and my ex-husband, I'm not going to say his name. He's married to a very lovely woman, and I'm just not going to say his name. That's just not what I'm going to do. He was friends with R. Kelly, and they were friends clear from elementary school clear up into, I want to say, junior high. And I could be wrong, but I know they were friends for a good long time. I know that their relationship was a long relationship and started when they were fairly young, because one of the things that my ex-husband used to always say he and R. Kelly did is they used to play cowboys and Indians. Now, if you are my age or even their age, because I was older than my ex-husband by a few years, cowboys and Indians is something that we children that were born in the 60s played, John Wayne, so cowboys and Indians. Long story short, they were friends, and one thing that my ex-husband always remembered was that R. Kelly always said that he was going to become a big star. I used to always ask him, well, did he sing? Do you remember him singing? And he said he did have a voice, but when you're that young, unless you're really going to be a star and going to get into stardom, you don't see that. You may not even recognize it in the person because it's not something that's dealing directly with you, if you get my drift. So that's the part that I know from my ex-husband, what I know about R. Kelly and him becoming a star. Now, all the other stuff that I know is stuff that I read on the internet, is stuff that I heard in interviews that I've seen on the TV within the last couple of weeks, with these stories breaking out everywhere. The latest thing that I know is that R. Kelly had been threatening women that if they were coming out, if they were going to come out, he was going to do this and he was going to do that. And a lot of women have actually went and got counsel, hired lawyers to protect themselves, which is very smart. Hands up for them on that. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about, y'all, I'm sorry, my head is itching. The first thing I'm going to talk about is Mr. R. Kelly's wife, his ex-wife, Draya Kelly. Now, Draya said that R. Kelly and her were married for 13 years. She talked about how he was verbally abusive, how he was mentally abusive, and all of that progressed to him being physically abusive. She stayed in that marriage a long time for it to be all of that abuse. Me having been married for well over 25 years to the same person, can understand a person staying in a marriage and not be happy. I stayed in a marriage for a very long time. I had 3 children by my first husband, and I stayed in the marriage a very long time for the sake of my children, which I know today was not the right thing to do. Is very unfair to my ex-husband. It was very unfair to me, and it was also very unfair to my children. I think that she may have stayed in it because of her children, or maybe she thought he was going to change. Whatever the case may be, I just have a really hard time. I don't want to say that I have a hard time believing her, because I think that would be somewhat of heartless, but I do have a hard time believing some of the things that she said. I do. I mean, I said it. I just do. I'm also a survivor of sexual abuse. So it's not nowhere in any way am I trying to hate on anybody. I don't know her from Adam, and if in fact she was actually abused, whether it was verbally, mentally, and physically, God rest her soul, and may she forever, be in peace, because trying to heal from any type of abuse is really, really hard. It's hard. It's something that you have to get counseling for. It's something that you have to work on every day until you are in that place of healing. You know what I'm saying? So, long story short, when I watched the video of Draya speaking on her abuse with R. Kelly, and I seen both the interview that she did, one of the interviews that she did about her abuse and her marriage to R. Kelly, but I also seen the movie that I believe that they had. I don't know if it was on a Lifetime, but it was a cable network where they were talking about surviving R. Kelly and his abuse. And it was Draya, as well as a lot, and I always like to use this word, a plethora of other young women who were at his mercy. Long story short, Draya talked to the interviewer about how they had been married 13 years, how prior to them getting married, that they were like almost in a whirlwind romance. She got into the place where she was traveling with him, was touring with him, because she was his lead dancer and choreographer. She started to notice, even before she married him, y'all excuse me, I got allergies. Remember I said that on that other video? I got allergies. This nose is really acting up. And unfortunately, it's raining here in California. And when it rains, you would think it washes away all of the allergies. It starts a lot for me. I'm probably going to have to do a sinus flush, because my nose is really interesting. But back to Draya. In the interview, she was discussing how, how they first started dating, and how he was very, very sweet. And when they were touring, he would look at her reading her Bible, because from what I can understand, Draya comes from a Christian background. I believe somebody in her family, I believe it's her grandparents, her grandfather was a minister or something to that effect. So she was reading her the Word of God, when she was touring and stuff. And I think, and she said that she felt like he fell in love with her because he felt like she was different. Well, over time, after she married him, he became abusive, physically abusive. And this is per Draya Kelly. They in turn had 3 children of which are grown children who have absolutely positively nothing to do with R. Kelly. I'm thinking the reason that they don't have anything to do with R. Kelly is because they probably witnessed the physical and mental abuse and verbal abuse that their mother had to go through. And if in fact he was abusing the mother verbally, physically, and mentally, he probably was doing the same thing to the kids. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Usually an abuser doesn't only abuse one person. They don't pretty much single one person out. They pretty much have more than one person, whether it be your wife, your kids, your whoever else. Abuser is an abuser, and they just abuse. That's what they do. So Draya said something in one of the interviews. Y'all, I got notes right here. I can't remember everything. She says, when you're abused, you attack and you abuse others until you're delivered. And she is so true in saying that. I am also an abuser. Survivor. I'm not an abuser. I am not an abuser. I am not an abuser. Okay? Correction. I am not an abuser. I am also a survivor. I am a survivor of repeated sexual abuse as a young child. But delivered from that, and thanking God every day for deliverance, thanking God every day that I have forgiven my abuser and I have moved on, and I just bless the name of the Lord for that. But with that being said, the interviewer asked her, why was it and what was it that made her change? What was it that made her change and feel like that she had to leave her situation? And she said, when she contemplated suicide. So here this woman was raising 3 children, taking care of Mr. R. Kelly, getting whooped and slung from one end of the house to the other. And honey, quite sure they had a huge house, and contemplating suicide because he was whooping on her. He was beating her. Okay, for 13 years. Now, at first when I heard it, I was like, really, Draya? Really? I was like that. And I was like, and you stayed in it that long. But abusers are beaten and scared into silence, unfortunately, whether it be sexual, whether it be physically, whether it be verbal, whether it be mentally, they are scared into silence. So there is a good possibility that the woman was abused. I now believe that she was. I just kind of question the manner in which she came out, as far as when she came out with it. Another thing too, how is it that you have 3 children with a woman, and out of all your 3 children, your children don't have nothing to do with you? They don't have nothing to do with R. Kelly. Nothing to do with him. And it probably is because of the abuse that they seen their mother experience at the hands of their father. And like I said before, an abuser does nothing but attack and abuse. He don't only attack and abuse one person, he attacks and abuse everybody in his circle. They attack, they abuse, they control, they're not very confident, and that's exactly what I believe he did to Draya and her children. Another thing that I had a problem with Draya is whenever she's interviewing, she's always smiling. Me and my husband have a problem with people when they be interviewing and they smile, because I'd be like, you acting like this is so hurtful to you. This was so debilitating to you, why are you smiling? But then when I really think about it, the woman probably had to smile in the actual interview. She had to smile to keep from crying. Sometimes you got to smile to keep from crying, when you're being abused. Okay, I'm very slowly going to move this. Okay, I don't be wanting my closet to be showing. Okay, going to move my, y'all forgive me, going to move my okay, we're gonna talk, so we're gonna get in I'm gonna get in my comfortable stance. Oh goodness, get in my comfortable stance. As I said, I'm in California, and we are here, and it is rainy. We have just had one storm that has passed, and from what I can understand, we have another storm coming through. So I'm just really comfortable and relaxed at 8:12 p.m. on this beautiful Tuesday evening, talking about Mr. R. Kelly, and talking about, how he used his power to hurt women. And another thing I gotta say, all abusers are not men. Women abuse too. Unfortunately, women abuse too. So I do need to say that. So we talked about Draya, and Draya did say in the interview, and a couple of the interviews, the most important thing that she wanted to do was take care of her children. She wanted to make sure that her children were taken care of. She wanted to make sure that they were not without, and that they had everything. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to adjust. There we go. How they had everything that they needed. And that's how a mother is, especially a mother that's abused. If you're lacking something, you definitely don't want your children to be lacking. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel for her, and I pray that during this time, while this is out and about, and he's getting exposed, and in a negative way, that she's healing from that she experienced. Okay, so now on to Mr. Robert Kelly. I just want to say how I feel about him. I feel that he is a controlling predator. And he needs to be ashamed of himself. I mean, I thought it was something when he was dating Aaliyah. I thought that was something. I seen the little Bootsy movie that they had on that cable channel. Child, that movie was horrible. I mean, I'm sorry, I got to sit up because it looked like I don't have no chin. That ain't cute. But they had this movie on this Bootsy cable channel, and I'm sorry, the movie was not good. The storyline was good, but the movie wasn't good. And if the storyline is exactly, which I doubt very seriously, like they said it was, I feel like Aaliyah's parents could have did a little bit more. But it goes back to what I was saying when I was talking to a friend. Sometimes people want their children to be famous so bad, maybe they've lived in poverty for so long, and I don't know how they look like they were doing okay. I don't know how. It's almost like people want to sell their children out just so that their children can become famous. Are you kidding me? What in the world? Okay, so we're talking about R. Kelly, the controlling predator. His prey was young women, and not even young women. It was young girls, teenagers. Okay. From what the Exposing R. Kelly show said, he would get the girls. Anybody that was like groupie for him, anybody that was crazy about him, he would get the girls, he would get them away from their parents if they were underage, and have them held captive in his house. He would have the girls having sex with one another while they were having sex with him. You know, the crazy thing about it that I don't understand is how a person think you can get away with that. How do you think you can get away with that? Okay, granted, he had power. Okay, he's a predator though. He's a predator. He had power. He had money. He had power to do whatever, however, whenever, and with whomever he wanted to do it with. And he's still trying to control the women today. He's sending out threatening letters to women, so much so to the fact where some of the women have decided to even go and hire counsel, you know, to protect themselves because of what he's done, what he's doing. I just don't understand how a man, a grown man, could think that it's okay to have sex or to have any type of relationship with a young girl. I mean, what do you want with a young girl? That is a pedophile. That is pedophilistic capabilities, pedophilistic tendencies. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. And they let it go on. People let it go on because he was R. Kelly, because he believed he could fly. You can't fly nothing. You are pitiful. That's why he walking around here looking like an old wizard right now. Gray hair, looking old, ain't making no money. You know what? When you get older, you don't lose your voice. That voice don't do nothing but get even more seasoned. He can't even make records because of what he done did to all these women. Women are popping up everywhere, popping up like popcorn, exposing this man and exposing the things he done. On that show, there were women. I mean, there was this one lady. This lady was so scared. She met her daughter at a hotel. And those of you who actually seen it know about this. This woman met her daughter at a hotel. The first time that she was supposed to meet her daughter, it fell through. She couldn't even meet her daughter, I guess, because he had so much control and power over her. She was scared to even come and meet with her mom to try to get away. So the second time, she was able to get away. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he went somewhere. I don't know if the guards weren't watching. I don't know what. But he ended up coming off his guard or doing something. And when he came off that guard, that girl ran down them steps and came out there to her mother. And when that girl met up with her mother, that girl was crying. But you know what the crazy thing is about it? They showed a picture of her when she met him. She was absolutely positively beautiful. Do you know when her mother got her? She looked like a man. She had a tapered hair cut. She looked like a dude. Okay, she had on basketball shorts and a tank top or some kind of t-shirt and some slides. I mean, for real? You like men too? Or you like women that look like men? This man, y'all don't know, this is some disgusting stuff that this man did, and he needs to be prosecuted for it. You can't keep going around doing what it is you think you can do because you got money. You can't do that. There was another girl who, mostly all the women that he got with, he sold them a dream of them becoming famous. Folks gotta understand, you can become famous without selling your soul. You can become famous without sleeping with somebody. You can become famous if it's what God has for you to do or has for you to be. This man preyed on even weak women. There was a woman who was his biggest, I think they say that she was his biggest R. Kelly fan. This woman was full grown. This was a full grown woman who eventually got into a relationship with him. Or at least she thought she was in a relationship with him. She was in a relationship with him and a whole bunch of other women that lived in the house. She ended up moving into the house with him, and this man became controlling. And what it looked like, and from what she said, is he not only preyed on young women or young girls, very young girls. He preyed on women that had low self-esteem or women that had already been possibly abused in some kind of way. I believe he ended up preying on the young girls because young girls can be impressionable. Sometimes young girls, young teenagers can feel like they don't really have a voice. They can feel like they aren't of any importance. And maybe by hooking up with R. Kelly or maybe singing a song with him, would bring them the notoriety that they wanted. Even Sparkle was on there. Sparkle even suffered abuse at the hands of him. I don't know how a person can think they God and can just be whooping on people and get away with it. I always tell people every good thing comes to an end. You ain't gonna have good 365 days of the year. You're not gonna have good 7 days a week. You're not gonna have good all the time. We're all gonna go through some challenges. We're all gonna go through some changes. We're all gonna go through things that aren't going to be good all the time. But we do all have choices. And though I don't think the young girls really had a choice, because what I believe happened based on what they said, and I believe it, is that he held those girls hostage. Some of them girls told stories of not even being able to come out of their room to use the bathroom. They would have to use the bathroom in buckets, okay? Buckets. That's disgusting. And there are so many men, even today, and women, who are very controlling to people and have people living in those type of situations and circumstances. We have to be strong in who we are. We have to love ourselves for who we are. Never let anybody dictate to you who you are. Never let anybody say that if you don't do this, you're not going to be that. God knows what R. Kelly had. I mean, he talented. The man can sing, but God knows what it is he had to go through to get where he got to as far as fame. But you know what? Abusers have to understand, or even survivors have to understand, just because you were abused doesn't mean it's okay to abuse. Everybody that was abused physically, mentally, verbally, or physically is not an abuser. I have never abused anybody. I don't believe in abuse. As I said earlier, I'm a victim of abuse. So I stand firmly against it. But I believe going forth, women, men, even men, mothers and fathers need to protect their children. They need to make sure that their children are okay, because guess what? We can have predators out here that are women. Look at all the women that are teachers to these young men in elementary school, in high school, in junior high school, and they're sitting up having sex with these young kids. We're living in a world today where people don't care. We're living in a world today where it's a me society and everybody wants to satisfy their flesh. Protect your children. Protect your grandchildren. Protect your children. Don't let your daughter, because she got a beautiful voice, hook up with no man that say that he can make her a star, and then he eventually start having sex with her. And then the next thing you know, she's so wrapped up in the life that he promised her that she don't even want to come home. And even if she do want to come home, he got her so bound, she don't even know how to leave. Think about it. He needs to be exposed. He needs to be arrested. He needs to be prosecuted. And just like Harvey Weinstein got exposed, just like Bill Cosby is close to 100 years old. What that man doing in jail? Now, do I agree with all the women that said that Bill Cosby sexually molested them and sexually assaulted them? No, I don't. But I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm telling you, As a woman, you need to protect yourself. As a man, if you've been physically, verbally, mentally, or sexually abused, you need to protect yourself. But the one thing that I do want to say, and I want to say it, and I want to say it with authority. Man, woman, protect your children. You are all your children have as far as protecting. Protect your babies. All right, you've just been blessed with some sauce from Carol's Daily Sauce, some of the sauciest information on YouTube. Please like, comment, share, and don't forget to click on the bell to be notified of each and every video that I upload. God bless you. You all have a wonderful day. And I'm going to say it again, protect your children. Mwah. Bye, YouTube. Talk to you guys soon.